All right. Lost copy. Here, Jason, here with Mac. And this week, or this episode, I should say, we are going to get into A Simple Plan by Sam Raimi. And Sam Raimi has a pretty diverse catalog of movies. He's famous for the Evil Dead series, I'll Swallow Your Soul. And he's also famous for the original run of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. And but out of all of his movies, this is probably my favorite one, and it's awesome with one rewatch. But I'll let Mac take it over and give the synopsis on a simple plan.
Well, I'm with you 100%. This is my favorite Sam Raimi movie. And this is kind of in the middle 90s when he started doing kind of some genre films because he did the Quick and the Dead, which was a western,
Yeah.
and then he did this, and then he did For Love of the Game with Kevin Costner, which was a sports movie.
Oh yeah. Wild.
Yeah. And then he got doing all the Spider-Man stuff. Well, and then he did The Gift. I don't know if you remember that one, which is kind of a
Is that Patricia Arquette? Is that
that is I forgot who's in that, but it's kind of like a mystery horror thriller.
okay?
That's a kind of an underrated film too.
Maybe I'll have to go back
Um,
and rewatch.
but
Um,
anyway, this one though came out in '98, which is this is the time you and I were living in Grandview,
yeah.
and I think I remember seeing this either in the theater or watched it a few times on DVD.
I actually, honestly, I think you and me and Andy Gopp, OG Lost Copy. What's up, Gopper? Um, I think we all went to go see this at the Lenox movie theater.
Yeah, I think so too, because we would have been reading about this and because it got really good reviews. It didn't make a lot of money, but it got really good reviews. And this is one of Billy Bob Thornton's best performances that he's ever done.
Yeah, he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. I don't think he won, which which
No, I think
I
he
need to go look up to see who won that year because he's awesome in this, and that's a good way to like kind of kick it off too. It's like
I
the
think that was the year like James Coburn won for Affliction.
oh, okay,
Do you remember that movie?
yeah,
Anyway, I
you probably
think
won't
Billy
cover it
Bob
on
should have
here.
probably won. In hindsight, Billy Bob should have won an Oscar for this
Yeah, he's great.
because
Like
he is great in this movie,
yeah,
and
all of
so
that.
is Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bridget
So,
Fonda is
and
awesome.
Bridget Fonda, and we're going to have to talk about her because this is kind of her last good movie.
Yeah,
She pretty much quits acting like 3 or 4 years later.
and an aside to that, so Bridget Fonda, um, who I love in a lot of movies, she's been in a lot of good stuff. She's married to Danny Elfman, who did the soundtrack
Who
to A
does the
Simple Plan.
soundtrack?
And
And it's one of his best soundtracks.
it is because he dials it all the way back on this
Oh,
movie.
absolutely.
Like it's not like Edward Scissorhands or like Batman from
Right,
the Tim Burton era.
right.
Like this is way scaled back. It's awesome. Like so, and I don't know if they met on this movie or not. Maybe
They
maybe I'm
might have.
adding to some kind of internet lore,
Yeah.
but but yeah, I just thought that was kind of a fun fact.
Yeah. Well, just to set it up, this premise has probably been around for 1,000 years. All right. When you got three guys that find a big bag of money and and finding out what happens afterwards. Because and every time, I mean, I love this premise because it's like it's a great exercise for screenwriters. All right. You have three guys and they stumble across a big, huge bag of money. Take it from there. And every time you are going to get a tragic story. because it never is ever is going to end well. And this is a classic tale of how it just ruins everything, because basically Bill Paxton plays a guy who lives out in some small town in Minnesota, and he's like an accountant for a feed store, and he thinks he has the perfect life, and he has a wife at home who's pregnant, who's about to give birth, and he's got this kind of dumb-witted brother played by Billy Bob Thornton, his dumb-witted brother Jacob, and his even dumber friend Lou. And Bill Paxton is not really close with his character and Jacob are not really that close, but anyway, they set up this premise in the first 15 minutes because they're going to visit. Billy Bob Thornton picks up Bill Paxton because they're going to go visit their parents' grave, because they're two brothers, but their parents both died in a car accident. So they're going to go visit their parents' grave, and when Jacob shows up, he has his buddy Lou with him, and Lou doesn't really like Hank. So Bill Paxton plays Hank, who's pretty much he's the younger brother, though. I don't know if you noticed that he's the younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Bob Thornton is kind of the older brother, but he's got some kind. I mean, he's not like brain damaged or anything. He's just a little bit slow, I would say. Wouldn't you say?
The roles are reversed for those two, right? Like it's the younger brother acting like the older brother, and the older brother
Right.
kind of being
Right.
like a younger brother in that kind of sense too. And Bill Paxton's character Hank is super straight laced, like that's like
Right.
he's like, again, like he's an accountant for like a feed store, but he's also very much like work hard, get paid, by the book,
Very conservative.
very conservative. So
And
yeah, yep.
and then so they go and they visit the parents' grave, and then when they're driving home, they have to dodge that fox grabs one of the chickens.
Oh yeah,
It's out in the middle of the road. And so Billy Bob Thornton, he wrecks his truck into like a telephone pole or something, and the dog jumps out. So then they go chase the dog, and that's where they find the plane. And there's this big wrecked plane out in the middle of the woods. And they find Bill Paxton goes inside the plane, and they find a bag, and it's just filled with $4.5 million of cash.
well yeah, like
And that,
well, they found a body in there too.
well, they find the body of the pilot, and there's and then you have to you remember throughout the whole movie, Sam Raimi has these there's these crows
Yeah,
that just kind of haunt the whole movie.
I mean, like
In the opening credits, they show them inside the plane.
I mean, there's foreshadowing in movies, and then there's Sam Raimi. I'm gonna really hammer this home foreshadowing.
Right,
I mean, those
right.
crows show up
Those
all over
crows
the
are
place.
throughout the whole movie. You
And
see them.
and I love the fact that the movie does start like the opening scene, and Mac referenced it already, where there's a fox and it's stalking a hen house. Like, I mean, like the old adage of like a fox in the hen house, like it's literally stalking a hen house, and then um it snags a chicken, runs across the road, and it causes this big accident. Um, and the crows, and trust me, the crows were there too, because anytime the crows show up, bad things happen in this movie.
Right. They are the foreshadowers of the whole movie. And then the movie starts, and that's the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Setting up
find
the
the cash.
premise with the big bag of money. There's
They find
there's
a big bag of money.
it's the two brothers and a friend. And Lou is with them.
Right. And they have to decide on how they're going to do this. And the only way that Hank agrees to it is if he gets to keep the money and then they hold on to it until springtime to see if anybody discovers the plane or if it's in the news, and then they'll split it up. And that's yeah, and he gets the other two to agree to that. And
And
but
it's
the other two are just like licking their chops because they don't, they're not very financially stable. Hank is the only one that has a job.
well, yeah, and so like Lou makes a comment because like Hank is hesitant to take the money at all. He was like, "Man,
Right.
this isn't good,"
Well, he
and
doesn't want to do it at
he
first.
doesn't want to do it at all. And Lou is like, "Come on, man, this is the American dream in a gym bag."
Right.
And then Hank has a comment, and both of these lines I think are like really kind of poignant for the movie itself. Like where he's like, this is the American dream in a gym bag, which a lot of people would look at it like that. And then Hank says, "Well, you work for the American dream. You
You're
don't
supposed to
feel."
work for the American dream.
Yeah, and so like he's already viewing taking this gym bag of money as stealing. Um,
Right.
and so like he's still like pretty morally sound at this moment. And
Kind of at this point, but I mean, he realizes, I mean, throughout the movie that he slowly realizes that he's a sociopath.
well, I think like
Hank's Bill Paxton character, Hank.
he definitely starts to dissociate himself from the things that he's doing. And I'll also say that so as they find this money, everybody's keeping it a secret. The three guys that found it, so the two brothers and Lou. But Hank immediately goes back home and says something
And
to Sarah,
shows Bridget Fonda.
to Bridget Fonda, and he says like, "Hey, look, we found a lot of money," and they just or they haven't had the baby yet.
They haven't had the baby yet,
He's
but
he's like 9 months
remember,
pregnant.
he starts testing her with questions before he shows her the money. He asked her he asked her what she would do. And she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't keep it. I would return it." Blah blah blah. But then as soon as he dumps that money on the table, she turns into Lady Macbeth, you know, and she just starts giving him ideas in his head on what, because it's that night when they're sleeping. She all of a sudden says, "You got to go return some of the money."
Yeah,
So
it goes from her being like, "Oh, you that's not ours, or you should return it." She sees how much it is, and then it's instantly like, "I want a piece of this." Like, like instantly she's making plans about the money she just saw, which she had nothing to do with finding or
right,
stealing from, like, with, and eventually you find out it's ransom money.
right. So the money is exposing everybody on who they really are.
Oh,
And that's why Bridget Fonda's character is very complex because she's been playing this happy housewife, but as soon as she sees that money, you understand like this, she has never been happy. She's miserable living this life.
well, she sees a lot of like the better life in that money, right? Like that money comes to represent
Right.
all of
She
these,
sees a better life like right
all,
away.
yeah, all of these like unresolved dreams that she's had in her life, or whatever. And then like, so she starts getting involved and kind of putting bugs into Bill Paxton Hank into Hank's ear, and like he goes and starts doing these things. And she works at a library, and then they're trying to figure out like Hank's big hang up is he doesn't know where the money came from. He doesn't know if this is
Right. And that's
stolen
why he's
money. Like,
hesitant.
did they steal this money from like, um, you know, from like hardworking people? Because he would be like so against that, right? So he wants to
He
know where.
says he would.
Yeah,
He says like, he's trying to live he's trying to live a normal life with a regular moral code. But the deeper that he gets involved, he realizes that because 15 minutes after they find the money, he goes home, he shows Sarah the money, and then that night she tells him, "You got to go back and return some of it, so it looks like, in case someone goes back and finds it." So he goes back the next morning, goes to Jacob's house, brings him along. He doesn't really tell him what he's doing, and then just say, "Hey, just pretend like you're changing a flat tire." And he goes and returns the money. And then the old guy Dwight, shows up on a snowmobile.
Yeah.
And this is where Billy Bob's character Jacob, really, you kind of you understand that he's kind of like, socially messed up, because the guy is just kind of giving him a hard time. He's like, "Hey, did you see that fox that came through here?" And Jacob all of a sudden has anxiety. He's like, "No, I was just changing a flat tire, but I got the spare one in the car, but it's all good now." And he's like, "Well, if you didn't see that, you should have seen that fox." And like, they have some sort of argument. I
Yeah,
don't know
like
what they argue about,
well,
but
like you said, like it's not an argument. It's the guy is giving him a hard time, or just kind of giving him like the business. Like you'd be like,
right,
like the Dustin
almost like,
Hoffman,
"What are you
like
doing out
yeah,
here?"
like the Dustin Hoffman, like, and I'm walking right here,
Right,
like
right,
like he Billy Bob doesn't understand. Like he's at the time it wasn't being used, but it's almost like he he just interprets things a different way,
right.
and he doesn't pick up like on social cues, like you said. I won't say he's autistic, but like he's
No,
definitely
but it's kind of like, like Of Mice and Men.
yeah, like a Lenny, and like
Right,
and so like and he's so as that guy's like kind of being like, hey man, what how could you not see the fox? Like what's
right,
going on? Like he's he's feeling attacked because he's already feeling nervous and skittish about what they're doing, because like whereas Hank professes this big moral code,
Jacob.
Jacob's the one that lives
He actually
a
has a
higher
moral
moral
code. He
code,
actually feels it. He
right? Like
feels the remorse.
and I was saying this too, and shout out to Lindsay, but I was saying this to her as we were watching this, that like, and we were talking about this, that like Jacob has like a higher emotional intelligence than Hank does,
Right.
and so like so he is into people. He can vibe on what the room is feeling and everybody's feelings, because there's this like so they end up like
So Jacob ends up hitting old man Dwight, in the head with the tire iron. And Hank sees this. He's coming back from the plane. He sees what's happening. So then he convinces Jacob, like, "All right, I'll take care of this," because Jacob thinks that he killed him.
yeah
So Jacob is all upset, and but Hank convinces him to go away in the car, and then he'll just send his snowmobile over the bridge and make it look like he ran over the bridge. So anyway, he's riding with, he thinks that Dwight is dead, but then Dwight comes to, and Hank gets scared. He jumps off the snowmobile. And Dwight is like, "Your brother hit me. We got to call the cops." And then Dwight, this is it. Like, this is when he loses all morality, and just basically murders him,
oh yeah
suffocates him, holding his nose and his mouth, and kills Dwight, and then sends the snowmobile over the bridge. But
and and, and suffocates him in the maybe the strangest way I've ever seen anybody get suffocated in a movie, and I obviously have not seen that in real life other than like UFC or something. Um, but like like Bill Paxton holds his hand over his mouth, and then he pinches
then
his
pinches his
nose
nose.
like he's getting ready to do a cannonball or
Right.
something. But and and the guy just is like so incapacitated that he can't fight back, and that's how he offs him. But like I remember like watching that movie, I was like, oh, that's right, that's the weirdest way someone could ever be suffocated in a movie.
Well, and then he tells his brother, he tells Jacob, because Jacob still thinks that he killed him.
Yes, yeah,
Because
and
Jacob was ready to confess.
and weirdly in this movie too, like so so Hank ends up killing um what's his name again?
Dwight.
Dwight. Um ends up killing Dwight, and Jacob thinks he did it, and then he like Hank says, "Hey, no, you didn't do it," and he's like, "I did it," and then basically he uses that as leverage to make like some of the
I'm
decisions.
going to be making the decisions
Right,
now.
like I'm
Right.
personally on the hook for this now,
Right.
and you're going to let me make these kind of decisions, and it's like, and it like that's what's so awesome about this movie is that like you keep getting into these moral quandaries, and
Oh yeah.
there's a pretty obvious right and wrong, and it's
Especially
so
when he goes back and tells Sarah.
right. Like no, like I mean, like there's so many places in this movie where you could pull the car off the road and get out, and they just keep going
Well,
further down the hole. Like,
because
it's
remember,
wild.
he goes to the library where Sarah works at and tells her what he just did. And she's actually showing him like news clippings of where the money actually came from. So it was actually ransom money for this 17-year-old, rich girl who ends up dying. Like they end up killing her. But that's where the money, and Bridget Fonda finds out all this. So she's like, hey, this money was like ransom money that never got delivered. So, we're good.
Oh,
And Bill Paxton, tells her, like, hey, I just killed somebody. Like, what, like, does that, like, what do you think of that?
yeah, yeah,
And
like that's insignificant to her being like, allow me to clear your conscience on this money.
right.
Because she's paving a way
And she was
to get
basically
involved.
just saying, like, well, you were just doing it for us. You're doing it for the family.
Right. Well, and then she also starts introducing the concept of, well, like, what side do you think he's on? What side do you think Jacob's on? And then he's
Right.
like,
Because
and
she
and,
does not trust Jacob.
and then it's like I don't even know if I believe that she doesn't trust Jacob as much as she sees him as like an easy fall guy, and that
Right.
and that she can like convince
Right.
Hank to like,
Jacob could be the scapegoat.
right. So she just like instantly starts in on like Jacob being like, are you sure he's loyal to you? And then he has that confrontation with Jacob where he pulls him off to the side and he's just like, look, who are you with? I'm your brother. Like, are you with me or are you with your friend? And like,
Right.
and then, Jacob has to be like kind of almost like reluctantly because he's like, we're on this together. But you're my brother. Like,
Yeah, because he
I
doesn't
think,
like taking sides. He doesn't even like talking about taking sides.
no, not at all. And it's weird because like that comes back to haunt Hank later, like almost immediately, because then they
Well, it comes back to haunt him because the next scene, and now we can talk about Jacob's friend Lou, played by Brent Briscoe. So no one's ever heard of Brent Briscoe because he's not that good of an actor. But
but I've seen him in other stuff though. He's like
he's
one of
been
those
in other
he's one
stuff.
of those that
And
guys.
he's actually, and the thing is, his character is kind of annoying, but I think he's supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah,
But
100%.
anyway,
He's supposed to be like on the nerves of not just Hank, but I think
right,
the movie
yeah,
part,
because
right?
he gets on Hank's nerves, and but then he shows up at his door late night, kind of half drunk, and then he blackmails him because Jacob told Lou about Hank killing Dwight.
Right.
And so Lou comes over because Lou needs money. Lou is broke. He owes people money all over town. And so he's dying. He needs that cash. So he starts to blackmail Bill Paxton. And basically, uh, Hank tells him, like, hey, if I go down, you go down. So you
Yeah.
blackmailing me is not going to do anything. So, let's just go back home. We'll work this out. Let Sarah have the baby first.
Yeah.
Basically
Yeah.
says, we're not going to do anything until my wife has the baby.
Because he kept saying, he said, one of the things he said in that exchange too, when like Lou's like ham-handedly trying to like blackmail him. He's like, just give me my cut, man. And he tells Lou, he's like, look, this, he's like, it's not even here. I don't even have it
Right.
here at
Yeah.
the
He
house.
tells him it's like
He's
a
like,
day's drive away.
it's a day's drive away. It's at this storage locker at an overpass or whatever. Um, and just to like basically get him to like go away. And he hands him $40 out of some
That's the
that's
funniest
out of
scene
some
in the
swear
movie.
jar or
And
something that
actually,
he's keeping in the closet. Some like little
and
swear
Brent
jar.
Briscoe is actually pretty funny in that scene when he looks at him and goes, $40.
Yeah, like I mean, like he was like so grossed out, like it's like humorously offended. But like so that's when Lou gets pissed and like goes off and
Well,
um
then
and then
Sarah has the baby.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, like, and then Sarah has the baby, and then um
So
Billy
then
Bob's
in the
character.
hospital, this is the most bizarre scene. In the hospital, Sarah, the nurse brings them the baby. They're sitting there looking at the baby, and she starts breastfeeding the baby. And
Well,
Bill Pack.
wait, back up 1 second though, like
Okay.
because Billy Bob's character comes in and gives a present for the baby, right?
Oh, right. You're right. Billy Bob
And
stops by.
so he drops by, wants to see his new niece, cool uncle, coming in with the tape glasses, and um hands Bridget Fonda a gift. And he was like, hey, I didn't have any money to buy anything, so I got something from my house. He was like, well, it's pretty cool. Check it out. And they open it up, and it's actually his teddy bear from when he was,
His old teddy bear.
and it winds up and it talks and things like that.
Right.
Um, and although I think she's just kind of like at first kind of like skeeved out, like
She's
she
like, it's
and
used.
yeah, like it's used, like she's kind of like grossed out, but like Bill Paxton's character Hank is really touched by that, like right, like
Right,
really
right. No,
touched
he knows exactly what it is.
by that particular
And
thing.
and tells her like, oh, this is his old teddy bear.
So then he leaves, and then they bring the baby in.
So then they bring the baby in, and she starts to breastfeed the baby. And as she's breastfeeding, she looks him dead in the eye and says, you got to find a way to trick Lou.
Oh yeah,
Trick Lou into confessing that he killed Dwight.
yeah. She straight up says you have to get Lou to admit that he killed
You
Dwight.
have to buy a tape recorder and record Lou confessing to killing Dwight. And Bill
And,
Paxton's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about?
and he's like, I know,
How
and
am
he's
I
like,
going to do that?
how am I going to do that? And she's like, here's exactly how you're going to do it. You're going to get him drunk. You're going to like bring him back to like a place, and
You're
then
going to start playing a little game.
you're all going to take turns confessing to it. And then when he does it, you record it, and you're like, and just and like I that scene in particular, I was like, wow. She went from like, okay, like you're feeding them some like bad advice to like,
Right.
wow, you're the villain in this, man. Like you're like
He's the full
you are
blown
a
villain.
villain.
And Bill, and so Hank is basically, he's like, he doesn't even know what to do at this point, but he's like, he's going to give it a try. So he talks to Jacob, and Jacob, reluctantly kind of goes along with it.
Well, he doesn't want to, and like more,
He doesn't want to at all.
and Bridget Fonda also says before like Bill Paxton leaves to go like try to like hatch this plan. Um, she says to him, she's like, we should at least try it. What could it hurt?
Well,
or what's the harm in that, or something like that.
right,
And
right.
it's like a lot of harm,
Is a lot of
a
harm.
lot,
Every idea she
like
comes up with ends up in a lot of harm.
a tremendous amount of harm. Um,
But before they go out drinking, though, remember they have Hank and Sarah, or Hank actually has Jacob over for dinner.
yep,
You remember?
yep.
And they have dinner and they have a few drinks, and that's when Jacob, they start talking about their parents, and Jacob tells them like, "Hey, Dad committed suicide. I don't know if I thought you knew that. You should you knew that, didn't you?" And that's when Bill Paxton realizes that his parents were hurting for money and basically committed suicide. So for the insurance,
Yeah, and that particular scene too, that's when I was also figuring out, I was like, okay, well, although he says dumb things like or in the movie like Jacob does, where he like mixes up like sayings, and I forget what saying he turned around. Um
if
but
it says like if it's broke, don't fix it.
yeah, if it's broke, don't fix it. That's exactly what I was thinking. Um
That's the best.
so like he says goofy stuff like that, right? But in that moment, in that scene, he knows something that his brother didn't. He's also
Right,
like more emotionally understanding of that sequence of events with his parents, and like why
right,
he made that decision and everything like that.
right.
And
Because he's a little bit jealous
yeah, and like
because Hank went to college.
yeah, like and and Hank's this like upstanding citizen, and like Jacob's not seen as very much in town, kind of like a joke.
Right.
Um, and he goes into that where like a high school joke where they had like bet a bunch of money for this girl to like act like she was his girlfriend for a month, and
Right, right.
it's
He's
like
always been kind of a social outcast,
yeah,
where his only
heartbreaking stuff,
friend is Lou.
like very heartbreaking stuff. And Lou is like very much the town drunk, um,
Right,
and and Hank even calls him that. But uh, so they hatch this plan. They have that dinner, and then they go out to the bar, and then they meet up with Lou, and they start drinking, and Lou gets smashed, and Lou's like doing shots,
oh
and
yeah,
he's like
he
smacking
almost gets in
women.
a fight.
Yeah, he smacks a woman on the ass, which is like a very 1998 thing, I think. Um, and 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 then he trips over some guy's foot, and then tells him to go get his shine box or something. Um, but you know, but like
Right.
he starts to get in a fight.
Oh yeah, it
The
gets
bar,
loud, obnoxious.
the bar
They
owner
just
kicks
drag
him
him out of the
out.
bar.
Yeah, like he gets kicked out, and which is that's when they're like, okay, this dude's drunk enough. Then they go back to like Lou's place, and it gets really weird. So they're there, they're being
Right.
loud, they're drunk. Lou's crushing them down, and then basically
Hank is waiting for it to happen, for
Hank is
kind of
looking.
Jacob to get start things started.
Yeah, he's looking over at Jacob to like kick off the like, hey, let's get him to can like falsely confess so I can get this on tape and we can go home. And Jacob starts like
Making
pissing
fun
all
of
over
Hank
it. At least it seems like it. But he starts kind of like, and again, this is where I'm like, Jacob is like way wiser than what he appears to
because
be.
he's kind of outsmarts everybody
He really
and
does.
tricks everybody.
And in this scene in particular, he starts just being ruthlessly mean to Hank. And he
Yeah.
starts making fun of how he drinks whiskey. He starts making fun of how he like walks across the snow. He starts acting like, hey, I don't have like boots and stuff on you guys. And he's like, oh my gosh, like I've got the wrong clothes on, guys. And he's like acting all worried and
To the
really
point where Hank is ready to go home. He's
like
like,
Hank
fuck
is like,
this.
yeah, Hank's like, let's wrap this up and everything. And he's like, no. And then like what he doesn't get is that, and then he starts to catch on that like Lou is requesting Jacob to impersonate more and more
Right.
like
And
Hank.
Jacob is actually setting it up to where he's going to have Lou do a fake confession.
And that's exactly what ends up happening is like so he ends up saying like, hey, like what about like when we were like all doing it and stuff like and like and acting like he killed somebody and then like he's like you do it, Lou, you do it, and then like Lou's
Right.
backing up and acting like and he does it and then yeah and then they get their recording.
So they get the recording of Lou just impersonating Hank doing a fake confession about killing Dwight. So then when Hank plays it back for him, like, look, now I got you on tape. Well, then Lou gets all pissed off and grabs his shotgun
Yeah,
and
when
basically
he says give
is
me that
threatening
tape.
Hank and shoots off the shotgun, shoots it off in the roof. And Jacob runs off to his truck and grabs his rifle. And I mean, it's really good. I mean, it does look like Lou is about to kill Hank.
So yeah, so Lou's got the shotgun right on Hank and I'm
Right.
talking like he's like 2 feet away.
And
Not,
he's
not even.
he's shit and he's drunk
And he's trashed and he's angry
and he's
and
pissed off.
he doesn't like Hank to begin with.
No.
And another part of the scene too is that earlier in the scene, right when they get to the house and they're being loud, Lou's wife comes
Oh,
downstairs
right.
and
Telling him to shut up.
yeah, it tells him like kind of barks at him. It says like, "Hey, shut up! I have to work in the morning. You guys are being too loud." And then she goes back upstairs and they all kind of giggle about it. And then they have this confrontation. And so she's creeping down the stairs to see what the hell's happening because he just shot the shotgun
He
and blew
shot
him
off the
like part of his
shotgun and
front
now he's
porch.
threatening Hank. And at the last minute, Jacob shoots Lou right through the head.
Yeah, and it's like he was absolutely going to shoot Hank
I think so too. I
because he
think
was
he
so
was
desperate
absolutely going to
because
kill Hank.
yeah, yeah, because he had no more leverage over that money anymore at all. So
So then Lou's wife comes crying, saying, call 911. And Hank's like, hey, let's get our story straight here. You know?
this is when Hank turns
Oh,
full
this is when
evil.
Hank really becomes a sociopath. Like,
He's full evil at this point. Like there's nothing good about this dude at all. Um,
so Lou's wife, she does grab the shotgun
yep.
and Hank has to wrestle it from her. And then she runs into the kitchen and then grabs a handgun out of the drawer. And she does start shooting at Hank first.
Oh yeah, she narrowly misses him twice. She hits like an
Right,
electrical socket or something,
right.
and he just doesn't really have a choice.
But then when he finally fires the shotgun, it's awesome. It's total Sam Raimi, special because she gets blown back like 5 feet in the air.
Oh, that's what I said too. Like when that scene happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, that is the most Sam Raimi
Oh
shotgun
yeah, it
blast
was classic Sam
ever,
Raimi.
ever, ever. Like it was awesome. Um, yeah, yeah, it's good stuff. Uh,
So then, but then, uh, Bill Paxton has to come up with a story. So then he starts firing the shotgun off like 3 different times inside the house, and then tells Jacob like, "Hey, this is the story. They were drunk. They got in a fight. He started shooting the shotgun in the house, and it was self-defense."
right,
And
like
Jacob,
he says to Jacob, and what's crazy is he's like he was going to shoot me, Jacob. You had to shoot him. It was self defense,
right,
and that part is actually true. Just the
right,
murdering of Lou's wife, and by the way, when we say Sam Raimi type killing, like when he shoots her with this shotgun, he blows her clear off the floor over the sink into like the
into
cabinet
almost through the
window.
window.
What like it is gnarly and awesome. And then she's just hung up there with like a
Oh
big
yeah, it's
hole in her. Like
awesome.
it is it is I mean, oh man, like the special effects must have been so awesome to do that day. I'm just like, okay, when you hear the blast, just yank her back. But
Right, right.
comes way off her feet, and like it is. There's a lot of dying in this movie. There's a lot of people getting
Well,
stuck,
and
but nothing
but
like
this
that.
is
It's
where
amazing.
Jacob, Billy Bob Thornton's character, this is when he really starts feeling the guilt, because
Yeah,
there's a couple, like the next scene, he's like sitting in the bar, and you could tell that just darkness is coming over him. And meanwhile, Hank, like he's doing fine. Like he is able to live with it because he's a sociopath. And him and Sarah are the two villains of this movie.
yeah. They have convinced themselves that because they have a new baby, that
That they're good people.
all of this is okay
Right.
because
Because they're doing it for the baby.
yep, it's in the name of doing it for the baby. So like, man, like I hope they never have another baby. Um,
Right. But then the next scene is when the sheriff brings Jacob over to the house because Jacob was drunk and just he Jake they found Jacob back at Lou's house.
yeah, like back at the scene of the crime, and also by the way, the sheriff is a very well known that guy.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh, he
Chelsea
might be the
Ross,
most famous that guy.
right? Chelsea Ross,
Chelsea Ross.
and Chelsea Ross has been in movies like he's been in another Lost Copy movie, uh, The Last Boy Scout. He plays like
Right.
uh,
He's in Hoosiers.
he's in Hoosiers. Uh, he's in Major League.
Major League.
So he like those are a couple,
Oh,
big.
those are some big ones.
Uh,
And he's a Vietnam vet in real life.
there you go. I,
Yeah.
and I like he plays kind of a bastard in almost every movie that he's in, right? Like kind of like a
Right.
wisecracking bastard.
He's in Basic Instinct. He's one of the cops.
Yeah, I mean he's
Dude,
so much. He's been in like so many movies, and like as soon as you see him, you're like, oh yeah, instantly. But
so he plays the sheriff. And
he
he
really gets a good
brings
he gets a good part in this too. Like he gets
oh
like a
yeah.
meaty.
No, he like it's a good part and it's a significant part too because he's the one guy because remember in the very beginning when they're counting the money out like on the bed of the truck, Carl, the sheriff, he drives by
Yep.
and Hank tries to talk to him like, "Oh yeah, we're all right. We're about to leave." And it's Billy Bob Thornton character comes in. He's like, "Oh, did you tell him about the plane?" And so Carl, the sheriff, he's the one guy that knew that those guys either heard a plane or saw a plane, or they knew something about a plane because they pay for that later on.
Yeah, and it's wild too. So like, yeah. So trying to think where. So they just killed.
They just
They killed
killed
Lou
Lou
and
and
his
his
wife,
wife,
and
and
then
then um,
that's when the FBI
right.
get involved.
But before they get there, though, the sheriff brings Jacob over to Hank's house because Jacob was drunk.
Yep.
And and then Hank is trying to put Jacob to bed. And Jacob asks him, "Do you ever feel evil?"
I
And
do.
yeah, he asks him, like, "Do you ever feel evil?" Because Jacob feels evil. And he's asking Hank, like, "Do you ever feel evil? Like what we're doing?"
Yeah. He
And
says
and
do you
Hank
ever
can't answer him.
he says do you ever feel evil? Sometimes he's like I do.
Yeah,
Like he
because I
like
do. Right.
and again like the irony of Jacob saying that to Hank
Right.
and Hank's taking care of Jacob.
He's the one that's morally mature.
Right. Like really like Jacob's the ones basically saying to Hank, like, hey man, like this stuff
You
isn't
should be more
right.
fucked
Like
up about this, about what you're doing.
right. Like I'm surprised you of all people don't feel more
Right.
concerned or like this isn't making your heart sick, you know?
Right.
So, but that
So
happens, and then Bridget Fonda, gets even more evil. I think, like as this whole movie keeps going.
well, the sheriff, like Hank is getting his hair cut, and the sheriff walks in and said, "Hey, can you guys stop by my office tomorrow because the FBI is here?" So Hank's like, "Oh shit, here we go again." So they go into the office and they talk to the FBI, and the FBI is like, "Hey, can you take me out to the plane or to where you guys heard this plane?" So then when he goes home, he has to tell Sarah, and Sarah's like, "Did you see his badge? Like maybe he's not an FBI guy. Maybe he's one of the kidnappers. Maybe he's going to kill you when he takes you out there." And all of that kind of sounds absurd, but that ends up being the truth.
Well, right, like she says, she goes, "You should. They're gonna take you out there and shoot." She was like, "They're gonna go out there," and he's like, "That guy is gonna shoot you and the cop," and it sounds so ridiculous in this movie of like ridiculous things happening. Like that sounds like super ridiculous, and then they get out there, and the cop or the FBI agent, so Chelsea Ross, who we talked about, is the sheriff, and the
Yeah.
FBI agent is Gary
Gary
Cole
Cole.
from Office Space,
Oh,
and
from all sorts of stuff.
and among a million other
Right.
things, right? Um, I think he's been in some of the Bourne movies. I don't know, but like memorable guy. And so they go out to the plane, and before they do that, Bill Paxton, Hank notices that the sheriff goes over and gets a gun out of this gun cage, and bullets and like to go out to look at the site, and he puts the key back underneath like a lamp or whatever, and then Bill
And
Paxton.
Hank sees where the key is.
Yep, and he was like, "Hey, hang on, guys, let me go get my hat." And they're like joking, like, "Oh yeah, it's too cold to be out here without a hat." And then he runs back, um, and grabs a gun, and he's looking for like ammunition, and he finds a bullet, and it doesn't fit in the chamber. So then he goes over to this desk, and it's got a bunch of random bullets in it. And so he grabs a bunch, like a handful of like random bullets,
Right.
and tucks those in his pocket, tucks the gun in his waistband, runs out, joins them on the way out. And, and is just hoping like, and he has that conversation with the sheriff about the badge. He was like, "Hey, have you ever seen an FBI badge?" And the sheriff's like, "Yeah, I've seen one." And he's like, "Is it silver? Does it say FBI across?" And he's like,
Well, he asked him if that FBI guy ever showed his badge, and the sheriff is like, "No, but I know what an FBI badge looks like." Blah blah blah. And so Hank is just trying, just to play around, like, "Oh, I'm always interested to see what one looks like," because he doesn't, because Sarah has him convinced that he's not the FBI.
"Right."
So
But
when Gary Cole
he
finally
doesn't,
shows up,
yeah, he just doesn't trust anybody anymore. So he's like,
right,
if I
and
get,
when Gary Cole finally shows up, Sarah actually calls the office, and and the sheriff answers. She calls the sheriff's office and said, "Hey, is Hank there?" And basically says, "Hey, I looked it up. This guy doesn't work for the FBI. You got to come home." And Hank doesn't know what to do
yeah,
because
he's
he's
kind of,
afraid. He's afraid. I think he's afraid if he doesn't go with them, he's going to be discovered.
yeah, well,
And
he's just in
and
a spot. Like he can't get out of going on this trip now because like this is potentially in his mind, even though his wife just said, "Hey, this isn't an FBI agent," he's still with the sheriff, and and the sheriff expects him to be going with them, and if he doesn't go, the sheriff could lock him up
right.
for whatever reason, and make a reason up and lock him up. It's like that kind of small town, and yeah, so he's kind of forced to go. That
So he's
that
forced to go. They
that
take him
car
out
ride
there.
is so tense, like going out there, where he's just like,
Oh yeah. And then Jacob shows up
Yeah,
Bec- So Jacob shows up, and Jacob kind of knows what's going on because he says the line like, "I talked to Sarah."
yeah, yeah. He says,
So,
"Hey, well, like, because they Paxton had told like Hank had told the sheriff and the FBI agent, hey, Jacob tied one on, he can't come today." And then like, yeah, then Sarah must have talked to Jacob, and then she's like, hey, that's not
so
enough
Jacob shows
evidence.
up.
He's gonna kill your brother. And so Jacob shows up, and and they tell him to get his rifle out of the car, which I thought was weird.
Well, I think the way the sheriff was, his plan was if somebody finds the plane, shoot your gun off.
Yep.
And but
And they
they
were gonna
give
go
Bill
four,
Paxton a whistle.
and they were yeah, because he didn't have a gun, and they were gonna go four different ways.
Right. They're going to split up, and and Bill Paxton, his character Hank actually finds the plane but doesn't say anything. And then it's the sheriff finds it because he starts shooting his gun off, and that's when Hank knows that FBI agent's going to kill him. So he starts trying to warn him, like make him show his badge.
Yeah, and
And the
he's
FBI agent,
shouting.
he comes down the hill and then shoots the sheriff right in the back.
Yeah, I think the
And then
sheriff even turns back and sees him, and then just turns back
he
around
turns back
again.
and sees him, but then he, says, "Oh, it's all right. He's got his badge, blah blah blah." And then Gary Cole shoots him right in the back, and then points the gun at Hank and says, "Where's my money?" And Hank says, "It's in the plane." So he makes Hank go in the plane, and then Hank like takes like 5 minutes trying to load that gun.
Oh, that's excruciating. Even in the
Oh,
movie, you're like,
because Gary
"Come
Cole
on,
starts
dude!"
shooting at the plane, like telling him to hurry up.
Yeah, he puts two in the plane because Hank's taking so long trying to find a singular bullet that's going to go into this gun.
Right.
Um, just like a simple bad plan by Hank. Um,
So, but there is the money that he returned is
yep,
still in that plane. So that helps him out because he throws him out that money. And when Gary Cole bends his head down looking through that bag and like, where's the hell's the rest of it? By the time he looks up, Hank has the gun pointed at him.
yep.
Now,
Because he found
here,
one bullet to go in the chamber,
well,
and,
right. He
and
found
it
one
wasn't
bullet to go in.
and he's fumbling all these bullets like out of his pocket, and they're just running down the plane like because it's at an incline, and
Right.
it's excruciating watching that
It is.
bullet.
But this is where Gary Cole underestimates Hank
Yeah,
because he doesn't, basically he says, "You don't have the balls to shoot me." And
yeah,
Hank just, I mean,
no
cold blood just
hesitation,
shoots him in the head
like not even hesitating like for a moment.
because he is full-fledged psychopath at this point. Like he has no remorse for anything.
What the
His
guy
number one goal is to just get through this and get get away with this money and and clean up all this mess.
and and like this guy, the guy that came at Gary Cole that came after Hank, the original brother of the guy that wrecked the plane. You know, they got that money through a ransom. So he's a bad guy, right? But like,
Right. Oh, real bad.
but how many people do you think he's killed? Because he's like he's kidnapping people for ransom. Now,
So
now
if
Hank,
you
on
saw
the other hand, my
when they were
point is,
showing the news articles, it said that him and his brother killed 6 people.
killed six people, and like
Yeah.
Hank ends up almost with like a higher body count. Um,
Right.
by the end of the movie. That was
By
my
the end
whole
of the
point.
movie,
That was that by the end of the movie, Hank almost has a higher body count than these two known gangsters in the world,
right,
international gangsters. Um,
right.
and also just an aside, I did the uh, I did like a little lookup of an adjusted for inflation amount of money for this. So the 4 million these days, or 4.4 million or whatever it was, would be almost $8 million.
Right.
We found it
Yeah.
today. It would be almost 8 million. Yeah, it's kind of just whatever.
Well, and then his final kill is the hardest one for him because
Awful.
after they kill the Gary Cole, he's trying to come up with a plan where him and Jacob can can get away. But Jacob at this point is done. He's like, I'm done with this. I can't live with this. Why don't you just go ahead and kill me and make it look like the bad guys did it? And and this is where Paxton actually shows the most remorse he does in the whole movie. Because he
Yeah.
does have a hard time killing them, but he still does it
Yeah,
because he knows it's a good idea.
that's the thing is like here's this person that he loves so much, it's his brother,
His brother.
and he's obviously looked out for Jacob his whole life. And then Jacob's like, hey, the only way this works, because he says this, he's like, the only way this works is if you kill me and make the bad guy, or make it look like the bad guy did it. He's like, it's
Right.
perfect. He's like, it works better for you. He's like, it works better for me. And he's like, because I don't want to be here anymore. And
Right.
and yeah, like you said, like he turns around and Jacob kind of forces Hank's hand by half-heartedly putting a gun to his head.
Yeah. He
He's like,
said, if
he's
you
like,
don't do it, I'm going to do it.
he's like, if you don't do it, I'll do it, and then you won't have an alibi. Like, then you won't be able to get away with it or whatever. And so then Hank shoots Jacob. It's horrible. Like, it's you want to cry,
Oh, it's
and
terrible.
tragic scene. And then so then you're like, okay, so what's after that? So then after that, they are back at home.
He gets interviewed by the
Yeah,
real FBI,
yeah, he gets interviewed by the real FBI. Um,
and
says
they
what he has.
inform him that one out of every 10 of the bills is has been recorded, and so they're just waiting for it to pop up in the system somewhere.
Yeah, so like he's still fishing around at that point in time, like you just said. Like there's the 4.4 million. He returned like 500,000 of it into the plane, right? For
Right.
his
So there's
wife's.
still almost $4 million that he has.
So yes, there's still almost like 4 million out there, large, and he's asking about that, and he's like, "Oh, do you ever think they'll get it?" And then that's when the guy was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Well," he's like, "They weren't marked." He was like, like that's when like Bill Paxton Hank is still trying to like figure out is he going to get away with this or not? And he's like, they weren't marked. He was like, "Oh yeah, but we wrote down like as many serial numbers as possible. So yeah, one in every 10 bills." We would hit upon a serial number and then we would be able to like locate where this money is. And then the next thing is so crazy.
Oh, he just decides to burn the money.
He burns the
And
money after
Sarah,
all of that.
Bridget Fonda is trying to fight him off. Like, please don't do that. Like, she can't. I mean,
I
she
mean,
is just
yeah, she's still like she's like almost like vomitous. Like she's like
right.
like nauseous.
Like, we can go to South America. We can go. We can get out of here. He's like, nope, and he just starts burning the money. And there's a great scene where you see the bills, burning, and then all of a sudden they're back to their lives, but they're different people. They're tortured souls now.
Yeah, like
I mean,
he's at the feed store and he's doing whatever he's doing, and then you see
right.
her putting some books back, and she's just like completely
They are the
dejected.
two main villains of the movie, and they're the only ones that survive. But they are living kind of a prison sentence because they got to live with that.
They did all of that bad and they didn't even get any of the reward for it. So like, and I haven't really tallied up the body count, but it's like Lou, his wife, uh,
Dwight
Dwight, um,
and Jacob
Jacob, and well, the sheriff and Gary
and the
Cole.
sheriff and Gary Cole.
So that's six people right there. Um, that die in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, like
All because
basically,
of a bag of money.
and and so like Bill Paxton's character does actually get to the level of international gangster, like those gangsters that killed not many people. So
Right.
and um, shout out to Sam Raimi for this movie because it is super entertaining, and I think it's really
He
well.
does a great, I mean, this is one of his best directing jobs too,
Yeah, I do.
because
I mean, I think so too. And
it's got
um,
a very Fargo-esque feel.
yeah, like, and that's what I was gonna say. It had like kind of like a blend of like Fargo and it had some like De Palma moments in it as well. Some like really
Yeah.
super close ups or seeing the ski mobile or the snowmobile, um, like going like hurtling over, off the bridge or whatever, and like in almost like slow motion
Oh, the snowmobile.
reaction,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that. When I watched that, I was like, wow, that's like Brian De Palma shot that one scene, you know, and
Right.
and it was a little like Hitchcock, I know Sam
It's a
Raimi
great screenplay too.
is
Scott Smith adapted from his own book. Um, and he also got nominated for an Oscar for
yeah,
adapted screenplay.
yeah, and it's like it is amazing. Like the screenplay itself is amazing. So
Yeah, it's like I said, they find the money in the first 15 minutes. Another, 20 minutes later, Hank commits his first murder. I mean, so it starts off, I mean, it's great.
and like Max said, like it starts off with like a classic premise of like here's a bag of money and three friends and see what happens. Um, but it's so well crafted, and I think the actors all do it justice by like seeing this like slow turn of these wholesome people into kind of like more monstrous people or like their base desires coming out and like really leading them astray. And Bill Paxton, I love Bill Paxton in almost everything he's in. Um, but he's super good in this. And I do know that one of the things I read about this movie is that he thought this was one of his favorite, or he considered this one of his favorite acting gigs. Um, while he was alive. So,
Yeah.
all
It's
right,
one of his
Bill
best
Paxton.
performances.
Yeah, yeah, he's so good in this. And if you're a Billy Bob fan, I know he's got a bunch of TV shows and stuff out right now, but like this is like one of those movies where like I actually thought he wrote this movie at first because like it's so good and he's usually such a good writer as well. Um, but this is
It's
just him
just one of
doing,
those performances that make you realize like how good of an actor Billy Bob Thornton really
he
is.
put a lot into this one, man. Like you can
Yeah.
tell like he did a lot of like back behind the scenes kind of work on this. But you
Yeah,
know,
because it's a little bit different from the character in the book too. And Scott Smith, when he saw Billy Bob Thornton, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to change it a little bit because what he's doing with the character, it's a lot. The character is actually more detailed in the movie than it is in the book.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he
he's
he
really
brings a
super
lot more
good.
to the movie,
Yeah, I
and I
mean like
think it's the most significant character in the movie too.
yeah, yeah, he's the moral compass of the movie, and
Absolutely.
it's horrible watching him die, and and that's a testament to like what a good character he was. Um, but I would say as far as like a lost copy creep factor, there's like an underlying building creep just with all of the characters in this movie. There's not necessarily like one super creep, but like Bill Paxton's character by the end
Bill Paxton's
is
character
pretty
by the
creepy.
end is pretty creepy.
Pretty damn creepy, honestly. Um,
So
but a great film. Honestly, recommend this movie to anybody. Um, it's a good 2 hours spent, and yeah, like I said at the start, one of my favorite or my favorite Sam Raimi film. So that's why we picked this one for this episode. Um,
underrated
and
movie from the late '80s. Yeah, it should have made more money at the box office. but I think I think there's a younger generation that discover this movie because um, a lot of younger people will love Sam Raimi because of the first few Spider-Mans.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and like this again, like sometimes we talk about like there's hardly any technology in this movie. Like you see, like
right.
Bill Paxton, I think make one or two phone calls, or like he gets a phone call. But other than that, this is kind of like a timeless film, and it really just speaks to like the craftsmanship of the movie itself. Um, yeah, I like super dig this movie. So
Yeah, just a little tidbit. Like this movie is made in '98, but the phone that's used in Lou's house and Jacob's house they still have rotary phones.
that's true.
Yeah,
They're not even push
not
button.
even push button.
They're not even
So,
dial tones. Yeah. Um, that's a good point. Um, again, like happy we picked this one. Any closing thoughts on a simple plan?
no, I just think I personally think it's Sam Raimi's best movie. Especially the non-Spider-Man movies that he made. I was
Yeah,
never a big Evil Dead guy, but I love Simple Plan, and I actually love For Love of the Game, the
yeah,
Kevin Costner baseball movie.
yeah. Uh,
So I really like when Sam Raimi does just regular genre films.
Let me say Cosmo shout out for our last episode, No Way Out. Um,
Yeah,
I guess my closing thoughts are very similar. Like my favorite Sam Raimi movie. I love Bill Paxton, love Billy Bob in this. Bridget Fonda is a horrible person in this, and that's a testament to how good of an actress she is. Because
and this was her last really good movie.
yeah, it's like one of the last ones she did before she kind of like just
She just retired.
retired
Like
from
she just
acting.
quit.
Um, I think this is a highly recommended if you like Hitchcock movies, if you like thrillers, if you like twists and turns. There's like a double, triple, quadruple cross in this movie, and yeah, just I'm really glad we got a chance to talk about it. So I think that's it for this.
Classic film noir.
Yeah, classic film noir. Agreed. I think that's gonna do it for this episode of Lost Copy. Again, we're on all the socials, so Facebook, Instagram, we're on Spotify, we're out on TikTok, and you can watch the full YouTube episodes each Friday now. I think we're coming out. Um, so look for new episodes coming out on Fridays, and we will see you soon.
Cool. See ya.